This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in-minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
I scream. You scream. We all scream. Because Wendy's famous small classic Frosty is just $1 for a limited time. More screaming, happy screaming, summer screaming, dollar small classic Frosty screaming! But please don't scream in the drive-thru. It hurts the employees' ears. Get a $1 small classic Frosty for a limited time, only at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid for delivery. Limit 10 per transaction. Price may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Day 3 of training camp for the Philadelphia Eagles is over, and I got all the highlights that you need to know about. Welcome to the Eagles Checkdown, the fastest under 10-minute Eagles podcast there is, covering news, notes, and opinions for 2 different networks. We got the Eagles Pinpull Podcast Network on audio format, and you got the STT Sports Network on YouTube. Guys, make sure you're following or subscribe to both these great channels. I'm your man, Phil Stifel, and I'm just going to give you on this Saturday a quick hitter. Day 3 of practice just wrapped up. I went through all the notes, all 9. I gathered up all the important points from press conferences and speaking to the media, and I'm going to get it all to you right now. So first and foremost, Sean Mannion. This is going to be a quick one. Sean Mannion spoke before practice. Here are a couple key notes that I want to mention from what he had to say. He has not decided whether he's going to call games from the booth like Vic Fangio or on the sideline. That's weird. I don't know if too many offense coordinators call from the booth the plays, but we'll see what he decides there. He is impressed. Well, he was impressed after day 2 of practice on Thursday. And the reason why, he said the Philadelphia Eagles offense improved on the mistakes they made pre-snap massively from day 1 to day 2. So that's a good thing. He said it's going to be a chess match every day going up against the Eagles defense. I've talked about it before. The Eagles defense is dominating the offense overall through 3 practices now, right? But this is going to be one of those elite special defenses that the Eagles have in 2026. So it's just going to make the offense that much better when they go up against other teams. You know, week 2 against Tennessee, you know, that defense compared to the Eagles, not knocking Tennessee, but it's going to feel like a field day for them. So that's a good thing. Talking about the Eagles offensive line, Sean Mannion, he mentioned a few different things. Assignment and commitment, very important. He wants to be fast and physical and very black and white. Make it as cut and dry as possible for the Eagles offensive line. Very key things there. He also talked about Chris Cooper, the new O-line coach taking over for Jeff Stoutland, incorporating him into that conversation. Then he took that and he went into Jalen Hurts. And he said he will lean on Jalen Hurts' experience, and this year, right? But he wanted to make sure it's important that Jalen Hurts and any quarterback is comfortable with everything they ask him to do. And this is something that you could clearly see that disconnect between Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo last year. This is completely different this year. And when Sean Mannion speaks about it, he speaks with conviction. So you believe it. And if we're believing, I'm assuming Jalen Hurts is believing it as well. He also talked about how well the retention and knowledge from the Eagles offense overall has been, because this is, obviously we've talked about it ad nauseum, how many offense coordinators Jalen Hurts has had, dating back through college, right? Every year it's something new, right? But this is probably the biggest drastic change from one year to the next that Jalen Hurts and this whole offense has seen. So the fact that they're retaining the information very well, They're just not winning the practices against the defense because of how great the defense is. It's very, very important. So some notes from practice. Standout players from practice. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., he was getting all the first-team reps. John Campbell was not at day 3 of practice. It was an excused absence. Congratulations to John Campbell because he was not there because he went and completed and got his degree and graduated from Alabama on Saturday, so that was a big deal for him. But Jeremiah Trotter Jr., very smart, very intelligent, very good player, and the Eagles do seem to like him, that if John Campbell does not figure it out, I think they're pretty confident with him, or if somebody got injured, God forbid, whatever. Jalix Hunt, another standout day on defense, more sacks, more play all over the field, more dance moves before and after practice vibe. And Jalix Hunt, man, we think he kind of sort of broke out last year, but we might be in store for a huge Jalix Hunt year this year. And Mac McWilliams had a really good day at practice. They ran a lot of Keely Ringo and Mac McWilliams with the first teams, and Jacorian Bennett not. But I've said that before, that there's one roster spot probably open for Keely Ringo, Mac McWilliams, and Jacorian Bennett. Just one of them probably makes the team if Howie doesn't add. So them getting some reps with the ones shows that it might be early on down to those two for that final roster spot, or at least those two are ahead of Jacorian Bennett, Mac McWilliams, because he was a fairly high draft pick a few years ago, and Keely Ringo, because he's such a great special teams player, one of those guys might be the guy that they keep in that last role. What else? Darius Cooper seems to be ahead of Johnny Wilson through the first 3 days, getting way more first-team reps per reports over Johnny Wilson. They do like him, and Darius Cooper is making the catches when the ball is thrown his way as well. We had our first big Andy Dalton comment or tweet. Supposedly he had a great pass to Hollywood Brown, as described by, I forget which beat reporter, as a sick pass. That's really, really fun to see. Fred Johnson was getting the reps at right tackle 1 and got beat quite a few times, supposedly, by the Eagles defense. Lane Johnson was an excused absent from practice. It was just a rest day. You're going to see that a lot throughout camp with somebody like Lane Johnson. He'll get days off, and that'll give other guys opportunities to start. Fred Johnson, not Markel Bell, got those reps at right tackle 1, and he got beat quite a few times. I've said it before, that if, say, someone like Lane Johnson went down for a long stretch of time again, it would probably be the rookie, not Fred Johnson, that gets the start. Big picture. Landon Dickerson spoke after practice about a lot of things, and he mentioned that he definitely came back too soon last year from his injury. He had to have surgery 2 weeks before the start of the season. He came back, he tried to tough it out, and he's got to rethink his mentality of not trying to always tough it out, because coming back so soon is why he had such a down year and was hurt all year long and made it so difficult for him that he's got to rethink his process if he gets hurt. He also said he doesn't know where it came from. It was Jeremy Fowler first making the reports, but that he did not contemplate retirement this offseason. Doesn't know why those rumors started. So that's the Landon Dickerson. I love that he admitted, and we talked about it on Trending in the AM countless times throughout the season, that, and during the offseason, that he was rushing things back and he needed to sit, and talked about him skipping the game against the Giants, I believe it was, before the bye to give himself 2 weeks, and he didn't do that either. That sometimes these players need to be protected from themselves. Just because they say they're good to go does not mean they're good to go. But anyway, very interesting little comments there, and he didn't contemplate retirement, supposedly. So we'll see. But anyway, I'll try to see when after every practice, make sure we get one of the Eagles checkdowns done, recapping everything that's there. That way you don't have to find the information from practice. But other than that, everybody have a great day. Go Birds, and bubbles up.